Google claims it's nothing more than a video quality test. Yet the clues whisper a different story. What if Webdriver Torso is the key to unraveling how global corporations manipulate our minds? Follow me until the end of this video, and I'll show you the truth they'd rather keep hidden. In the depths of YouTube, beyond the reach of trending lists and popular feeds, exist channels so strange and frightening that they challenge everything we know about the world around us. Hi, my name is Victor, and I am the author and host of the channel Scary and Mysterious Videos. The internet is a boundless labyrinth of mysteries, where something amazing and inexplicable can hide around every corner. However, even in this mysterious space, YouTube channel called Webdriver Torso stands apart, still attracting the eyes and igniting the curiosity of hundreds of thousands of people. And if you are even superficially familiar with the fascinating world of internet legends, you have probably heard about its famous history and enigmatic content more than once. Therefore, my story will be not so much about the channel itself, but about its true purpose. Of course, I know that Google has presented its official explanation, but to call it convincing is an insult to common sense. And today I'm going to detail my thoughts on why the official version doesn't hold up to any criticism. So, let's not go into the nuances of the history of the channel. There are enough videos on the internet describing it thoroughly. I don't plan to repeat what has been known for a long time. Let's touch only on the key points, only what really matters. The YouTube channel Webdriver Torso was created in March 2013, and by September of the same year began uploading with incredible frequency clips of unknown purpose, which were combinations of red and blue rectangles, alternating each other on a white background. These shapes varied in size, shape, and location on the screen. No matter how they were arranged, the red was always on top of the blue, though rarely overlapping it completely. The background was a strange series of primitive short beeps. Most videos lasted about 10 seconds, but sometimes there were recordings of 1, 5, or even 25 minutes. The intervals between posting videos were also variable, ranging from 1 to 15 minutes. Uploading videos without breaks, the channel increased their numbers so quickly that today the total number of videos has already exceeded 600,000. All videos had the same name, Aqua or TMP, followed by a 6-digit combination of symbols at the end. The bottom left corner of each video invariably contained the caption aqua.flv and a 4-digit slide number. The monotonous, mysterious content, the complete lack of explanations, and the channel's amazing activity instantly attracted the attention of both ordinary YouTube users and avid researchers of internet anomalies to Webdriver Torso. No one could figure out what was behind this strange experiment. The channel quickly became the subject of heated discussions on Reddit and other forums, where users offered the most daring versions regarding the purpose of the creation of Webdriver Torso. From secret government projects and coded messages for spies, aka number radio stations, to speculation about alien messages hidden in the mysterious signals. As time went on, the popularity of Webdriver Torso only gained momentum, and the stream of videos continued to grow steadily. Following this, the number of hypotheses grew. Many began to suspect that these clips served to test artificial intelligence algorithms or were part of some avant-garde art project. At some point, the channel unexpectedly broke its streak pattern by adding meaningful Easter eggs to the video with rectangles. For example, the silhouette of Rick Astley dancing. This immediately sparked a wave of new rumors and speculation. Was it a subtle taunt from the creators of Webdriver Torso, or an attempt to further confuse viewers? It was only after the channel was talked about by major media outlets like the BBC that the creators of Webdriver Torso finally came out of the shadows. It turned out that Google employees are behind the channel, saying that Webdriver Torso was allegedly created to automatically test the quality of video uploads to Google-owned video hosting YouTube. According to them, the strange clips served to test how compression and data transfer algorithms handle simple shapes and sounds. This official wording at first glance looked plausible enough and was in line with Google's reputation as a tech-focused company. However, despite Google's official statement, some observers still had doubts about the sincerity of this version, and admittedly such doubts were not without merit. One of the most vulnerable points in Google's version was the use of the public YouTube channel to conduct tests. If the goal had really been to test the quality of videos, the company could have used internal servers or a private channel where the videos could have been safely tested without being seen by the general public. But instead they chose an open format, allowing any viewer to enjoy the dance of colored rectangles on the screen. The whole thing seems odd to say the least. Even more questionable was the frequency of downloads. The clips appeared every few minutes with mechanical regularity and were accompanied by numbering, as if as part of marketing testing. But testing of what? In addition, why was such a high frequency of posting the same type of content necessary if the goal was only to test the compression quality? A limited number of clips uploaded at certain intervals would have sufficed for this task. But if we assume that the channel was used, say, to collect behavioral data, then such a huge number of test videos seems logical, allowing us to increase the amount of information collected. The choice of audio-visual elements of the video also seems strange. If the purpose of the channel was really to test compression algorithms, it would be logical to expect more diverse scenes and shapes that would reveal possible compression defects in much more detail. However, Webdriver Torso was limited to simple geometric shapes and monotonous sounds, more reminiscent of elements of a laboratory experiment to study cognitive perception. The presence of hidden Easter eggs, such as the silhouette of a dancing Rick Astley, raises additional questions. If the channel was faced with an exclusively technical task, why add such unexpected elements? Perhaps Google wanted to test which users would pay attention to such hidden imagery, which could be part of an experiment, to study the perception of unexpected elements in a familiar visual environment. Finally, it's worth remembering that Google has extremely powerful analytics tools that allow it to collect incredibly detailed data about user behavior, browsing duration, location, repetition rate, activity times, just to name a few. Do you see where I'm going with this? By using YouTube as a platform, Google was able to secretly track user reactions while simultaneously collecting data from a huge audience. If Webdriver Torso was really intended to study cognitive responses, YouTube, with its billions of viewers, would provide the perfect conditions for a large-scale experiment, one that Google probably wouldn't want to spread the word about. The scale of the audience and access to fine-grained data would allow content perception to be studied at a level unattainable in a limited laboratory setting while maintaining complete privacy. Skeptics might argue that such experiments require feedback from users. Otherwise, how could Google gauge viewers' reactions to watching the Webdriver Torso video? However, let's remember that the company has already been repeatedly accused of having its products record users' actions without their knowledge. Take the cases of voice assistants, such as Google Assistant, which have repeatedly recorded ambient sounds and conversations, even if the user didn't directly address them. This issue has been widely discussed in the media, and although the company verbally promised to review its privacy policy, the question remains: if Google allows itself to collect voice data, then what prevents the company from visually tracking the behavior of YouTube viewers? The example of Webdriver Torso really makes you think. What if Google used these mysterious videos to monitor user reactions? Can we completely rule out the possibility that there are hidden mechanisms recording viewers' behavior in front of the screen? While we have no direct evidence that Google collected such data, against the backdrop of recent privacy scandals, such a theory no longer seems so improbable. What prevented the company from tracking eye movements through a laptop camera, for example? Privacy settings on a browser don't make me laugh. In favor of the hidden experiments hypothesis is a fact that psychologists and neurophysiologists have long studied in color and shape perception under controlled conditions. Such research aims to understand how the human brain processes the simplest visual stimuli, such as geometric shapes and basic colors. Scientists have found that the color and shape of objects directly affect attention focus, time perception, and the formation of first impressions of an object. Abstract shapes, like those very red and blue rectangles, are often used in laboratories to observe how people respond to simple and insubstantial stimuli. In addition, certain objects of visual perception have the ability to instantly attract attention, regardless of a person's intentions. For example, in classic visual search experiments, participants were shown many objects and asked to find one target object among them. And the simpler was the shape and color of the sought object, the faster it was noticed. Bright colors, repeating patterns, contrasting details. All these elements work flawlessly when it comes to capturing the viewer's attention. Webdriver Torso videos fit this description perfectly. Short, simple, easily recognizable patterns. Equally, sound stimuli have long been the subject of close study in psychophysiology. Research confirms that certain sounds, especially rhythmic or repetitive cues, can significantly influence a person's attention span. In auditory perception experiments, participants were given short cues to listen to, in order to find out how the brain reacts to changes in the volume, pitch, or frequency of a sound. Such auditory stimuli help to understand how a person navigates in a noisy environment, which sonic pulses attract attention more, and which ones remain in memory the longest. So, it's safe to assume that the goal of the Webdriver Torso project was to study how the brain perceives basic visual and auditory stimuli in a real-world environment and on a huge audience. Understanding how people respond to colors, shapes, and sounds holds great promise for fields, ranging from advertising that affects the subconscious mind to creating interfaces that attract and hold the user's attention. In this chain of reasoning, the connection to advertising is particularly interesting. YouTube, as one of the largest advertising platforms, bases the success of campaigns on the ability to hold users' attention. Data on viewers' reactions to watching videos with repetitive visual and audio elements could be key to ad optimization. In addition, Google could have researched which arrangement of elements in videos is more likely to attract attention and drive viewers to take certain actions. Not coincidentally, a few years after the launch of Webdriver Torso, YouTube's ad revenue multiplied, reaching a mind-boggling $14 billion by 2016. This dramatic growth makes one wonder if perhaps the Webdriver Torso experiments really did give Google insight into how to make ads as immersive as possible. It's conceivable that the insights gained from those enigmatic experiments laid the groundwork for an advertising strategy that has since generated multi-billion-dollar revenues for the company. Webdriver Torso still remains one of the most intriguing mysteries in YouTube's history, a reminder of just how pervasive the hidden interference of tech giants in the lives of everyday people can be. We may never be able to figure out the true motives behind the creation of thousands of abstract Webdriver Torso videos, but this case raises an important question for us. How far can corporations go in their quest for data on human behavior? Each of us who log on to YouTube for mere entertainment risks becoming not only a viewer, but an unwitting participant in an experiment unseen and unannounced. Well, sorry YouTube if we have revealed your secrets. And yes, for a certain amount of money, we can probably remove this video from all platforms. In the meantime, stay tuned. More interesting to come. Subscribe to Scary Mysteries videos right now. Immerse yourself in the unknown and become part of the revelation. Uncover the hidden.